Welcome YouTube to my channel. This is AC Starlord, aka Austin, and today's video we're going to be talking about this guy right here, Chucky. The first episode of the second season of Chucky just dropped this Wednesday. I saw it last night because my DVR messed up the recording of it. But anyways, this episode was pretty awesome. The first episode of the second season. So it starts out, so the name of the episode is Halloween 2, so meaning the referencing of Halloween 2, where everything from the last season, the last episode of the last season, follows up with this one, and that's exactly what it did. So, if you haven't seen the first season, I highly recommend watching the first season. But there's gonna be spoilers, just what I'm about to say right here in just a few minutes here. So basically, where the ending of the first season, the last episode of the season finale, where Andy Barkley gets in the car, gets in the truck with all the Chucky dolls and tries to get rid of them. Well, I guess Tiffany Valentine, Tiffany Valentine, I think her name is. Her doll shows up in the back of the car, holds a gun to Andy's head, and says, "Just drive." So they're driving on the freeway and trying to get to the airport to spread all these Chuckies all over the place. And then there's 3 Chuckies that got out. They do a joke. Of course, I said the F word. I can't really say the F word, but you get my point. This guy is rude, crude, and mean. So you know how that goes. Anyways, there's 3 Chucky dolls. One's bald, and then they make a joke about how bald he is, and they also talk about how the inch of the arm is, and some girls like guys that are bald, blah blah blah. It's actually kind of funny when you watch the episode. You gotta watch the episode to know what the joke is. I forgot what the joke is, and then Andy was telling Tiffany that those other Chuckies don't know who I am, so he. He kind of makes the truck, he makes the truck like a big wide turn on the freeway, and then he makes her knock off her gun. She shoots off the gun, she knocks it out of her hand, he shoots her head falls off, and then the other those 3 Chuckies, even including the bald ones, like, the one says with hair, "Oh, it's Andy." And then they all start attacking him, and then they go off this cliff right by a cross. Well, the cross represents what's going to happen later in this episode of the first episode of the second season. So basically, from there we go to the aftermath of Jake and Devin and Lexi. So Jake gets adopted by this nice other rich family that has a son, and he likes Batman so much. When Jake meets Devin, talking about how they love each other and how he says, "I love you," and he's like, Devin's like, "I love you," and Jake's like, "I love you more," and Devin's like, "That's not possible." Right after that happens, he's the guy, his new little brother is like, come on, Batman. Come on, Cape Crusader or whatever. Let's go to the Bat Cave. And he's like, "Oh, hold on there, Robin." So there was a reference to Batman there because his new stepbrother, his new adopted brother, just like how Andy was adopted with Kyle and her family. That's kind of the same way. But his new adopted brother's all obsessed with Batman, which is great. There's a Batman reference in this, which was fantastic. Then Jake gets in the car. Devin goes out on the street and sees him walking away, and then he yells at Jake, and they give each other a big giant kiss. Which, if you're not squeamish to see that, because this day and age there's people on the fence of seeing 2 guys doing that, but I don't really care as long as the story gets to my boy Chucky. So, anyways, we get to Chucky. Getting to the point where we get to Chucky. So it's 6 months later, and it's Halloween in Salem, New Jersey. And again, where the reference of Halloween comes in. obviously. But our very first half of this episode, like I said, was leading up from the last episode of the first season. So really, they already did the Halloween, Halloween with Michael Myers reference, but it's basically still referencing it where some events happened on the last Halloween, the last season, the first season. Now events are happening on this Halloween. Well, when they're again, Devin calls Jake, says, "Hey, it's been a couple months now. I thought I would see you by now, blah, blah, blah. I'm cooking dinner for you." And after that, he's like, "Man, I can't go because, I had to give my new brother a trick-or-treating and all that stuff like that." But before that, the kid says, a 1960s Batman reference, which if you get that and if you're a fan of the 1960s Batman, or you just get the old Batman terminology from Robin, yeah. And then the kid's like, "When we go trick it," and then Jake's like, "Tonight there's a lot of evildoers. Let's fight crime, blah blah blah." And then his brother's like, the citizens of Gotham are gonna pay us in chocolate," which was kind of cool. He didn't say it like that. He said it more like a little kid, but you get my point. Then after that, Devin calls. So I jumped ahead, like I said. Devin calls him and says all the things that I'm cooking for you. You're supposed to be on the bus, and like, "No, I gotta take him trick or treating." They're not like. Then my new parents are not like familiar with me being what I am right now, and being with you and knowing me. They're not like saying Jake's not saying the parents are not knowledgeable, but they still have to be warmed up to the fact that he's with Devin. So they're not comfortable with him being with Devin right now. So they keep on Devin and him keep on getting weird call from this weird guy saying some girl's name. I forgot the girl's name, but some girl's name. And he said, "No, it's the wrong number. I'm sorry." He's like, Jake's like, "No, it happens." And then the next time Devin and Jake are in the same call, and then comes a FaceTime, and he goes to Lexi's house. This mystery person goes to Lexi's house. Well, they figured out it was Chucky because the guy sounds a lot like Chucky. Now, what the reference is, where this guy randomly calls, the reference that they were referencing there, where a guy randomly calls the victim, is Scream. Obviously, Ghostface. Ghostface does the same thing with his victims. Says there's someone there, blah, blah, blah. And then they say no, and he keeps on calling him back. That's a reference to Scream in the same episode. So there's a lot of references to horror movies, if you get my drift. So they go, as they see Chucky going to Lexi's house. Lexi's with another guy, of course not with Junior. Junior's dead, obviously, but she invites another guy in there, and she's trying to have a good time, what teenagers do, and when their parents are not around, and you have their sister just opening door for trick or treating, and she ended up opening the door for the ghost of Halloween past. Well, of course, Chucky knows who Lexi's little sister is. She's really gullible to open the door for strangers. Then Jake and Devin, Jake tells Devin while they're on the phone call and the video call at the same time with this person, which ends up being Chucky, tells them to call the police over at Lexi's house. The police goes to Lexi's house, and that ruins the fun time. And then from there, we know it's Chucky trying to get in there. And then the therapist, so Lexi's family's therapist, tells him, "Hey, here's Bella, here's Bella, the wedding doll." And I think we'll get over Lexi's sister's fear of dolls is didn't have a doll. And they go to therapy because of all that stuff that happens. And then she's just trying to get reelected her mother's just trying to get reelected as a mayor, of course, obviously, just to get, make everything so happy that they take the doll home and all stuff. And then Lexi tells her sister, "Dolls, you don't trust dolls. Dolls are effed up. Just say dolls are effed up." And then she said the dolls are effed up. "Here's a knife. Sleep with this. Make sure that doesn't happen." And then that's when he gets Chucky was supposed to have all those army of Chuckies and go out throughout the world and cause havoc. Well, that didn't happen. And then still Devin and Jake have theories if Andy Barclay's still alive or not. And then that's when Chucky gets everyone in one room at one time, because he has his, Jake has, Jake's new adopted brother hostage. But, you know, of course, he just thinks that he's playing a game. Chucky's playing a game with him. Chucky goes to Lexi's house once again with a bomb, with fertilizer, and then Jake and Devin go downstairs. See, it's Chucky, and then Chucky's like, sit down. And then they sit down and then wait for Lexi. Lexi's doing hard drugs with pills, obviously, to get over the whole thing that what she saw last year. Lexi comes down. Devin tases Chucky. Jake's new adopted brother goes and grabs the bomb, and then Chucky gets back up, hits his arm, and makes him pull the trigger, and this green smoke comes out, and he ends up killing that kid. Well, they all get in trouble because they're all there, and they all get sent to the same therapist that Lexi has, and they're like, well, I know a place that we can send them, and they send them to the same place that Chucky, this guy right here, when he was a little boy, I mean, actual human being, not the doll, but when he was actually human being, when he was growing up, a place where Way with the Boys place, but it's all for girls and guys. So they send him to down there, and they had theories about if Chucky's gonna follow them, and it ends up, well, there's a package that shows up there, and it ends up being Chucky. But basically, they send them to the place that Chucky knows the best, and that's where the episode ends. But regardlessly, this episode was awesome. I remember Jake saying the only person that cared for that little kid was him, not the adopted parents. The same thing, like Kyle's the only one that cared for Andy Barclay in the second movie. And also, you will see Chucky again on this channel. I will buy Chucky 3. Child's Play 3. And we'll talk about this on this channel as well. So this is the TV show edition of the horror, not the horror, the TV show edition of the Halloween movie marathon. I tend to say horror because I'm in the horror section of my Halloween movie marathon. So yeah, this episode was great. I highly recommend checking this episode out, and I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the first season, go see the first season, because the first half of this video will make you want to go watch that, because again, this is a spoiler. I'm not trying to do any spoiler free stuff, but that was a big giant spoiler in the beginning, like I said. Also, I forgot to mention that when they were all getting together in their house before Chucky got there, they also referenced The Bride of Chucky. Now, The Bride of Chucky is a movie that the real Jennifer Tilly was in, but also they did, her name is Tiffany something. But you get my point. They referenced the point where that doll that Lexi's sister has is from Bride of Chucky, and it is. So they referenced that movie in their show. So that movie is the only movie that's referenced in the Chucky universe of TV shows. I don't know about the other movies, but Bride of Chucky is referenced, and it's in the universe. So is Batman, and so is Scream. So this has been chock full of references, and those are your Easter eggs pretty much. So you really don't, I don't really do an Easter egg video, but I'll see you in the next video, which will hopefully be old, and then Crimson Peak, if I ever finish that. So this has been the Halloween movie marathon video for today, the TV show edition, and I'll see you in the next video. Put a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see more. Put a comment, then let me know that you're here. And do you want to play? That's what I'm going to leave off. Do you want to play?